All right, ladies and gentlemen, so we got ourselves even more layoffs happening in the gaming industry right now. Things are clearly not looking good. It's amazing what tends to happen once the government funding and money starts to run dry. All the activism seems to go away. All these developers that seemingly were able to keep their studios alive without actually giving a product that was selling well, just suddenly can't hire people anymore or can't keep people around anymore. We got the Myst developer Cyan World announcing layoffs in their studio. Now, I didn't even know that Myst was even still a thing, man. I remember playing Myst like freaking decades ago, bro. It was like way back during the initial Macintosh days of computers. I mean, what are we seriously talking about here? I didn't even realize Myst was still a thing. Well, apparently they are still a thing. They released a video game a few years ago on Steam, didn't do that well, but they were still around somehow, some way, and now in 2025, they're firing people. So let's get into this article, guys. But of course, before we do, if you are new here, just consider hitting that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it, and like the video to push us out into that YouTube algorithm. So again, Myst developer Cyan Worlds announces layoff. The video game industry layoff trend is picking up steam as Cyan Worlds, the developers behind Myst and Firmament, have announced a round of layoffs at the studio. Again, I didn't even realize this studio was even still a thing. If we go over to SteamDB right now, you can realize that Myst came out about three and a half years ago, give or take, right? 3.6 years ago. And it had an all-time concurrent on Steam of 481 players. Now, I believe this particular game, Myst, was out on consoles before this, if I'm not mistaken. But still, I can't imagine that this game has sold so many copies to the point where it can support an entire development team for so many years until magically in 2025, now they want to suddenly fire people, right? I don't understand how this is even possible. They sold anyway between 51,000, anywhere from 51,000 to 176,000 copies. Now, usually these numbers are pretty high. I gotta imagine this is probably sub 100,000 if I really had to guess. And most of them were probably at a sales figure. If we were to go over here and check out the actual pricing breakdown, you're gonna notice here that the game is currently priced at $34.99, but it has a lowest recorded price of $17.99, which was 40% off the current price right now, which I gotta imagine was when most people bought the game. Now, again, ladies and gentlemen, 481 is not that great considering the numbers and what they overall mean for a studio. I'm not surprised that this studio is firing people right now, but I gotta imagine that it's only gonna be a matter of time before we see this studio in the headlines talking about the fact that they shut down, right? I can't see how this studio is going to survive later into the year. I mean, apparently they're in charge of a game called Firmament. So if we take this game Firmament, search it on Steam. I haven't even looked it up yet. Let's see what Firmament is. I have absolutely no idea. Firmament game set. Bro, look at this. What are we talking about? So 1.8 years ago, it had an all-time peak of 1,033 players. It's got 17 people playing right now. It's got an estimated sales of anywhere between 22,000 to 83,000, which again, they're very high. An all-time Twitch viewership peak of 3,200, and no people watching at this current point in time. So again, I don't understand what's going on with this studio. It even has bad reviews too, so I don't understand how this studio was even able to survive. This is clearly one of these studios that has been living off of government money. It has to be, or private investors of some kind. It has to be. Otherwise, how are they still around? How is this even still working? In any case, let's see. So in a social media post on Friday afternoon, the studio said that 12 people will be let go despite their best efforts to avoid it. The layoffs will be effective at the end of March. Industry conditions have forced us into a tricky spot where we are having to weigh the future health of our studio against the month-to-month realities of game development in 2025, the statement reads. Throughout the past year, we have been ultra transparent with the entire Cyan team about the choppy waters that we find ourselves in. Well, at least they were aware that they were not doing well, so at least they were honest enough to admit that. Unlike Ubisoft is trying to tell their employees that they have their best interests at heart, at least Cyan is being honest with them and saying, hey, we've been sucking lately, things are not looking good, as well as the dangers ahead. While the news of a layoff was not a surprise to the team, okay, that's good, it was and is still deeply saddening for all of us. Those part of the layoffs at Cyan Worlds are receiving a severance package, which is good. However, the company is also working on helping them find additional work. That includes sharing the information of those laid off and now looking for employment elsewhere. As far as what's next for Cyan Worlds, the studio says its number one priority is to secure financing for our next project and to restabilize the studio. So At this point, it seems like they can't find financing, number one, for their next project, which, by the way, a lot of studios can't find financing anymore for their next project. You want to know why? Because the money's not there anymore. It's not readily available. People don't have access to the easy government funds that they had access to before. The financing has become a lot harder in order to acquire. And not only that, the studio is already in a bad shape, right? Not many people are going to want to invest in a studio that is pulling numbers like this, right? Like nobody's going to look at this and get excited as an investor. Most people are going to be like, I'm really good. And depending on the budget, right? If the budget is super small and it's not huge at all, we're talking really small indie, then perhaps you might have something here. I mean, what is this game even selling for right now? $34.99 with the lowest recorded price being $20.99, so 40% off. Again, most people are not going to be excited to invest in a company like this. It's probably going to turn off most normal investors that are not usually, utilizing government funds to do so. We've been around for a very long time and have been through tough times before, they said. Our sincere hope is to continue to be around and to provide the types of experiences that only Cyan can deliver. As always, we are grateful for all the love and support from our amazing player community. Cyan Worlds was founded in 1987 by brothers Robert and Rand Miller. Since its establishment 38 years ago, the studio has shipped dozens of games. And again, I remember these games from my childhood, man. I remember my teachers giving me, letting me play these games if I did my work early. Like that's literally how old these games are. And I can only imagine just where we are, where now Cyan has to fire people. Now, I don't know who they fired exactly. There's a lot of rumors going around that they fired the developers and kept just the management around or something along those lines. I really am not sure about the authenticity of that statement, but what I can say is that I will not be surprised if Cyan Worlds ends up being on the list of studios that close down by the end of the year or next year, unless they manage to get some magic investor who finances their next project at little to no cost to them. I just don't see how they can survive and stick around when pulling numbers like this. Sure, they've been around forever, and I will never downplay that. Being around for 38 years is amazing for a company. Congratulations to them, because I thought they were gone a long time ago. I'm not even kidding. I thought they were gone a long time ago, but they still are around and they're kicking. But as of right now, things are definitely not looking good. And I think after this layoff, things are going to continue to look very, very grim for Cyan Worlds. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, consider leaving me a subscribe. I would greatly appreciate it. Don't forget to like the video, comment, let me know what you thought, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Hypnotic out.